Okay, let's take a look at what happened with Yellowtail when they completed their analysis of the marketplace. They came up with a new strategic approach. And if you look at the second slide in this set, you can see what they did is they wanted to create a blue ocean. And to do this, what they wanted to do was to get some of their premium wine drinkers to go down market to a cheaper wine that would be good for just enjoyable drinking. And then to try and move up some of the budget wine people to a little bit higher standard, again with a nice attractive product offering. The whole thing was based around doing things on a simplified basis. And you'll notice in the center here the slide of how they presented, or at the center of the slide, how they presented their product offering. Very few selection choices, very little emphasis on any above the line marketing, very simple displays, and then to help bring the retail clerk into the process, they offered him some clothing that he could wear to look like an Australian salesperson. And because they had such a simple product line, he could now speak as an expert, whereas if he were dealing with the more sophisticated premium wines, he'd never be able to learn all the things necessary to be effective with it. So on slide 3, I summarize how the Yellowtail people made the changes using the ERRC grid, that is the eliminate and reduce, raise and create. The first two, of course, referring to cost reductions, and the second two to value increases. And what they did, if you look at the upper left-hand box there, they eliminated most of the oenological terminology and keep it simple. Aging qualities were no longer a factor because this is just a consistently, they would tell you, a consistently good wine. No above-the-line marketing. Simplicity is the way that they function. In the area of reduction of cost, they removed the wine complexity because they only offered 2 different varieties. They reduce, that means they reduce the range of wines as well, and the Vineyard Prestige really didn't fit into the equation at all. In terms of raising value for the customer, what they did was to increase price for budget wines, giving them a better value with a wine that was better than you'd find in the jug wines, or that was their proposition anyhow. And then they got more retail store involvement so that it would be easier for the people that were selling the wine to do that. In terms of things that they created, and this is where the real payoff is, easy drinking, ease of selection, fun and adventure. This was to attract people who had been so intimidated they didn't consider wine as an option. I had much the same experience the first time I went to Starbucks. I didn't want to go in and look stupid with all my feed education by going in and ordering a caramel macchiato with a latte and a non-fat something or other with 2 shots and have people laugh at me. So I really didn't go into the store for some time. Finally, after going back and forth in front of it and saying I wanted to try some Starbucks coffee, I went in and bought a medium black coffee, and that's the way I've ordered it ever since. And I don't have the problem with lack of sophistication. Well, the same is true for these people who had not been wine drinkers previously. Give them a chance to have the fun and adventure of trying the wine without all of the complexity of making the purchase. So on slide 4, I summarized this. With Yellowtail, what they did was offer only 2 types initially, a Chardonnay and a Shiraz, and this gave you a red and a white. They changed the flavor on it so it was something that was soft on the palate, didn't have to be gargled and sniffed at when you were drinking it. They use the same bottle for all of their offerings, which is of high value because those glass bottles cost a lot to make, particularly when you got to do a separate setup for each different bottle style. And many of these companies had a different bottle style for every wine that they offered. They used simple, vibrant packaging with the lowercase lettering Yellowtail that was not overly aggressive in the way they presented it. Everything was focused on being unintimidating. And what they said is that they were selling was the essence of a great land, Australia. They weren't even selling wine, and they certainly didn't focus on that part of the fact that they were a particular vineyard or that they were selling wine. And then the Australian clothing that they gave out to the retail staff helped them to be good promoters for the product. They didn't have anything like that from any of the other manufacturers. I don't know how they would have used it anyhow because of the sophistication involved in purchasing those other wines. So in summary, on slide number 5, you can see it's the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. 2 varieties, 1 bottle type, plain label, and this is one of those marketing things you need to remember. Don't over-deliver without getting payback. So, again, summarizing, Yellowtail eliminated the terminology, aging qualities, and above-the-line marketing, reduced wine complexity, wine range, and vineyard prestige, raised price versus the budget wines, simplicity of the retail environment, enthusiasm of the salespeople, and created the idea of easy drinking and easy selection, and a sense of fun and adventure. On page 7, again, you can see these put together, the sophisticated wine and the Yellowtail, and you can read that as well as I can. Now, moving on to slide 8. This is the strategy canvas, the Yellowtail value curve plotted out. And this is on the same scale that the ones we had seen in the previous presentation showed, where we have the premium wines plotted and the budget wines plotted. And then we have the Yellowtail offering and how they have defined where the value they believe that they're creating and how that value in turn is going to be appreciated by their customers. And notice that they've come up with 3 new areas on the value curve that are not being considered as important by either the premium wine providers or the jug wine people. And those are easy drinking, ease of selection, and fun and adventure. And this allowed them, they perceived, to have a premium price versus the jug wines, but a very solid value versus the premium wines. And the other thing that they realized, and this is what the people who wrote the book on Blue Ocean indicated, if you look on slide number 9, a Blue Ocean strategy needs to be focused, and this is something we always stress. You want to be single-minded in the way you approach the market and not waffle around, go back and forth, always be very focused. Secondly, be divergent, and that means go in a different direction than the rest of the crowd, not follow down the same path as the other people have gone in. And then the third thing they stress is to have a tagline. In their case, the tagline for Yellowtail was Yellowtail wines, great Australian wine that everyone can enjoy every day. So you move on to slide 10, and just remember this is a way to check out good wines.